The Guided Goals podcast gives you the tools, direction, and resources you need to pursue your passion project. I'm Deborah Eckerling, Project Catalyst, and this is Right On Online's Guided Goals podcast. Our guest today is Denise Wakeman, and we're going to talk about visibility. Denise is a digital marketing strategist and works with authors and online entrepreneurs to strategically use social marketing tools to gain visibility, build credibility, and get their message out to the world. Welcome, Denise. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Deborah. I was pleased and honored to be invited.
Well, I was thrilled. You posted something, increasing visibility. I'm like, Denise, because Denise and we've known each other. We were talking for years because we met right after I went freelance.
Right. Wasn't it at some social media event?
It was at a social media event, and I always refer to Denise as the one who wore pink to match her business cards. And it is, I always say, the best example of personal branding. Why you need to look like your business card is Denise Wakeman.
That's changed. So I don't ever wear pink anymore.
But at the time, it was a really good story.
Yes,
It's still a good
story. Absolutely. And it actually connected the dots for a lot of people. I mean, it was really, it worked.
Did you want to add anything else about your intro, your background?
Well, I will say that I've been working on the web, using it as a marketing tool since 1996. So I'm an old timer, and don't mind saying that. I've seen all the changes because when I started, hardly anybody had a website, much less an email address, and there was no social media. So I've seen a lot of change, and that's what makes it so exciting for me. And I love helping people find their way through this crazy thing we call online marketing and digital marketing and internet marketing and social media marketing, whatever you feel like calling it.
Even in the last year, things have changed so substantially. Yeah. How are people supposed to, this isn't even our topic, but how are people supposed to keep up with everything that's changing every microsecond?
That is one of those challenges we all face because, even being experienced in this world like you are, like I am, it's hard for me to keep up with everything too. I mean, you talk about the pace of change, it feels like it changes daily now. I mean, just look at the topic of, or the tools for live video streaming, Skype, which we're recording on now. This is like old school, I mean, and I don't say that as a bad thing because it's stable. We know it works, and that's what we're always looking for. But keeping up with it, I think, is about staying focused on what you need for your business, because there's going to be a shiny new tool, coming out every single day. There's going to be an update to that one that you just figured out last week, and you're not going to know what the heck it does or means anymore. So you got to keep focused on what the outcomes you want for your business are, and find the people who can show you the way. Because, it's like it's my job to know these things. So I am jumping on the new stuff all the time. And if I'm not comfortable, or not comfortable, but if it's not my strength, I follow the people for whom it is a strength so that I can jump on it for my clients who could care less about which video tool to use, but they need to know if video is important for their business. So they just want to get the short version. So find the people who can help you stay on top of it. You don't have to stay on top of every single thing yourself. Just focus on what's important to you and your business and creating the outcomes you want.
I'm going to ask you a question, and it's going to be like, duh. Why is visibility important?
Well, let me tell you. If you want to be found by your ideal client or customer or your patient or, whoever it is that you are looking to serve, they need to be able to find you, and they can't find you if you're not visible. And, by that, I mean that you need to be active and consistent and constant on the platforms, because now there's all kinds of them, on the platforms where your ideal clients are hanging out. So if you're your business caters to other businesses, and you probably want to be focused on being consistent on LinkedIn, for example. If you're an author, a novelist, or who is, or an artist, for example, then Facebook is probably where you want to be really present. So it's about not so much the posting and posting and posting. I mean, that's part of it, because that's part of the consistency piece. But by having a consistent message and staying top of mind, so there is an awareness that you're there, you're not a fly-by-night, and that's what visibility is all about, is that they know that you're there to serve when they need the solution you provide.
Right, for sure. And so what tips do you have for getting the message across, or is this something people should just know in their gut?
Oh, no, that's probably one of the hardest things that people have. I'm sure as a writer that, clarifying that message is one of the hardest things people struggle with. They know it sort of in their body, or it's like, well, but I do this, but that might not be the most powerful way to express it. So the thing with visibility is that there's so many ways to get your message across, to tell your story, and we are so fortunate now because of that. In 1996, when I started working online, there was barely a website, and most people didn't have any clue what that was, but that was the only way. And then there was email, and then there was newsletters and autoresponders and all this stuff. But now we have all these tools, so you can tell your story visually with pictures. You can tell it with your blog, so writing. You can tell it with video, and there's recorded video, there's live video. So it's really figuring out two things. One, what does your audience want to know? And two, how are you the most comfortable telling your story? So, it would be easy for me to say, yeah, you've got to do all this stuff. You got to do, slides, and you got to do webinars, and you got to do a newsletter, and you got to do video, and do this and do that and the other thing. But then you're spread thin, and then you don't have time to serve your clients. So you got to figure out what works best for you, because if it works for you, then you're going to do it.
Yes, because if you're struggling with it, if you're struggling, you're not going to get that content out. And I think
Exactly.
writing is easy, but that's part of what I do, is I help people get outside of their heads to actually do it. But I love video too. So I'm one of those weird enigma people who like both aspects. And some people are really camera shy. And if you're camera shy, that you're not going to come across as confident or competent or whatever if you're like freaked out about being in front of cameras. So,
and yet there are many other ways to do video other than head shots, or what is it, talking heads, like we're doing now.
Heads. Yes.
This is only one way to do video. But that's a great point, is that it's really about finding where your comfort zone is. I mean, I always encourage people to stretch a bit too, and to experiment, because once you experiment, then for real whether you like it or not, rather than just making it up like, oh, I hate video. Well, have you ever done video? No. Well, how do you know you hate it? I mean, I've had clients who are like painfully shy, introverts, and when they challenge, they just post a video in the private group. Nobody's, it's safe, and now they're doing video all the time.
So you never know what you're going to find out if you do something a little bit different.
Yeah, you just got to try. You got to try. You can always, then you make an informed choice.
And do you have a favorite platform? I know before you said, business is LinkedIn, Facebook's more for the social, the creative. And okay, so what do you think is the most effective if someone just wants a little direction, what do you suggest they do first?
Well, I come from the school where that you need to have your own site first and that you really should have a blog. Now, I know there'll probably be a lot of people out there who argue with me now, but
I would
that's
not be one of them because
I
I'm
know.
completely with you.
The thing is that the content that you post on a blog is still what the search engines are looking for. So whether you're posting videos on your blog, you're posting images on your blog, you're posting text too, and that is the place where you really want people to go. So I say that most people need to start there to build their foundation because that's part of the platform that we talk about, like for platform building or building your online presence, is that you need to have a place to send people and to demonstrate your expertise and to demonstrate your credibility. And sending people just to a Facebook page isn't doesn't cut it, in my opinion. And sending people to Medium, while I think Medium's a great platform for publishing your content, it's not your platform. It's not your site. I republish content onto Medium. It starts on my blog, and that's what I recommend, before you do anything else. I mean, you can be building up contacts on social media, while you're working on that platform, but don't neglect your own space.
The people who are listening to this, I am nodding because I am from the same exact school as Denise. So do you do full articles on Medium or even LinkedIn Publisher you could do as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what do you I've heard that a 2-week wait time between publishing on your blog and publishing elsewhere is good. Do you
I
agree?
recommend that as well too, because it can take about that long for the search engines to index the content on your own site after you publish it. I mean, sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's not, but I like to give a 2-week like grace period, let's say, on
Mm-hmm.
my own blog first, and promote that new content to all my social networks. And then after 2 weeks, then I drip it out to other platforms. So I do republish. I republish full articles on LinkedIn. I republish full articles on Medium as well. And I always link back to the original so that Google or Bing know where the original content came from. So that gives the authority to your own site. And that's what shows up in the search results if your article, is part of a search result that somebody has been looking for.
So just to recap, visibility, it starts with your site and building your content. Then you find the platforms that you like and share. You find the content that you like to create and do that. What am I missing? What about engagement on these platforms? What do you recommend for that?
Well, I recommend that you do have to engage. uh,
In what
sorry.
ways? In what
Yes.
ways?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Uh, so here's the thing is, and this gets to the point of having so lots of different platforms, is that pick two, let's say, that you like the best. So maybe it's Twitter and Facebook. And don't, set it and forget it. You've got to go in and respond to people and reply to their comments and questions. Tell them thank you for posting or for sharing or whatever it is. I mean, that's what engagement is. Just setting up, sort of auto posting, which I am totally a fan of scheduling posts. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day, but you've got to check in. And so I usually check in a couple of times a day to see if people have asked questions or see if people have shared my stuff or, that kind of thing. And I will thank them. I will ask them questions. I will share their stuff. So that's a very, very key piece. You can't ignore that. And I do that on all my platforms.
Now, Facebook, you can have a page or a group. I know you can post personal stuff, but for business purposes, do you have a preference, group or page?
Well, I think both are important. And the reason why is that having a page is where your business content should go. It also allows you to advertise. And, Facebook is pay to play at this point. It's very hard to get a lot of engagement or even reach, if you don't promote things every once in a while, promote some of your posts every once in a while. So it's important from that point of view. Groups, you get a much more intimate experience. Much more intimate experience. That's where you actually get to know people. And like, I now have groups for all my private programs, and I have groups for a couple of my free offers that I use as lead generation. And, they do take time, but that's how people get to know you, and they do turn into customers or clients. I mean, I see it. And I've also been inside, as a participant of other groups that people have, and the conversations are much, much more developed, versus just a comment. Oh, great post. There's
Hmm.
actual conversation going on. So I think they're both important now.
Now, what am I not asking you about visibility? What else do people need to know?
I would say that it's really important to include and integrate visual marketing into your visibility plans, into your marketing plans, because it's the images and video, which are both visual media, that really get the most attention. I mean, it's a fact of life, and there are thousands of statistics out there that will tell you that live video on Facebook gets much farther reach now than pictures. And for a while it was pictures got more than just text updates. So it's important to mix it up, I think, and which means that you've got to experiment a little bit. That there we go back into that video thing, but also sites like Instagram. Instagram's one of my favorite platforms. I just love scrolling through my feed and learning new things about people, and it's a really powerful platform for telling a story. But you got to think about it, figure out what's the message you want to get across. But they just published something. Instagram said that they have now 500 million users, 300 million are active every day.
Wow, that's
Don't ignore
amazing.
that. Yeah. And the thing about images is, like, I can create one image and get it and publish it on all my platforms. So you get a lot of reach for creating one image.
So it's worth it if you take the time to figure out your message and create the images around it, because then you can use them
Yeah.
everywhere.
Everywhere, everywhere, especially things like tips and quotes. So, for example, my brand now is Adventures in Visibility. So I am always on the lookout for quotes about adventure and experimentation and taking risk. And then I use those quotes laid on top of pictures from my travels, because I've traveled all over the world. And so I laid them on top, so you get a sort of the metaphor plus the quote, and that gives you a message about where I think it's important for people to, be, um, looking at their own business.
I love how you have that too, adventures in visibility, because they say, and this goes way back to like writing in college, is you want to
Mhm.
create something, put two unique things together, and wow, you have such an awesome brand. I love that. And
Thank
you live
you.
it, and you live it, which is the other point.
Well, the brand came out of how I live my life when I realized that the two couldn't be separated, because for so long they were. There was my adventure life and there was my business life. And then in 2012, 2013, I realized, hello, they need to be together, because that's where I am at my best self, and that's where I can have the most impact.
And this is a great lead to my work life balance question. So,
Okay.
so what do you do? Well, it sounds like you took work and life and you balance them together. Do you have anything else to say about that or recommendations for people who are struggling to find that balance?
Well, especially when you are an independent, business owner, I think it's really important to make sure that those two pieces are um, given equal weight with that. Because balance, I don't know, sometimes it's more work, sometimes it's more play, right? So for me personally, I need to get out and, take a walk almost every day, because otherwise I just sit in front of a monitor all day, because I can just get totally absorbed in what I'm doing. So that's really important. It's really important for me to schedule social time, with my friends, because if I don't, then I'm an introvert. I'm a lone wolf, and I'd be very happy just to, stay in my home all day. And when I'm not working, I'd be reading, But it's important to get that social interaction. And so I make a very strong effort to do that. And I love to travel. So um, I can make an adventure out of everything. I've decided, I made that decision and commitment a few years ago. So I run with my friends at least once a week. And every time I live in Los Angeles, a run is an adventure. We run all over the county of Los Angeles and just explore and discover new things and new food. That's the really important part, is the food. And as we were talking about before we went live, I'm going to go live in Peru for a month. I love Peru. I've been there twice before, and I decided I wanted to be there beyond just being a vacation. So I'm, renting a place to stay for a month. I'm taking Spanish classes, and as long as I have Wi-Fi, I can still do my work. So it's not a vacation. I'm just going to go live somewhere else than Los Angeles for a month and do my work. And that will be a huge adventure to figure that one out.
That's awesome. Love it. I love it. And before I jump into giving out the goals for the week, anything else you want to add about visibility? I know you have a visibility challenge you do regularly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do have 30-day online visibility challenges that I do 3 or 4 times a year. Got one starting soon, and the focus of each is a little bit different because there's so many ways that you can create visibility. So sometimes it's on blogging, or it's on creating micro content. The next one is on telling stories with visual content, which is why it was top of mind for me. But the thing about visibility is deciding what you love to do in terms of creating content and doing it every day, something every day, so that you stay top of mind to the people who you want to work with.
That's perfect. So that is going to be the professional goal, is to do something every day to be visible to your community, potential clients, customers, so they think of you when they need you, is
That's
the
right.
point. And then the personal goal is to schedule, say, adventure time, schedule social time, figure out the one thing that you're not doing and schedule time to incorporate it into your life. Sound good?
Perfect. I love those goals.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Denise Wakeman, for joining us today on the Guided Goals podcast. And you can go to guidedgoals.com I'll put in your links, so links and to read the show notes. And you can also go to writeononline.com for information on goal setting and productivity. So thanks again, everybody. We want to see you. So you have to be visible, and go on out there, go for it.